Winter is officially here, and it's time that we all need reminders about driving in the snow. We are here with Lieutenant Michelle Robinson, 6th District Public Information Officer with Michigan State Police. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, this is such an important topic this time of year, and we talked about this. A trooper was hit near Clarkston last night. Good reminder to slow down and move over for those officers. Now, can you talk about why that's such an important thing to do?
Yes, it is a law here in Michigan, the move over law, to make sure that any first responder or any disabled vehicle that's on the shoulder of the roadway, please allow them extra room. If you can safely go into the lane that's next to you, go into that lane that allows the space for first responders to complete an accident investigation, tow truck drivers to remove that vehicle. And unfortunately last night, one of our troopers were struck from being on the side of a roadway and at the result of a distracted driver. So we're still seeing a lot of distracted driving incidents, and this was one that we want to remind motorists, especially in this winter driving that we're having, be very, very cautious of your surroundings.
Always move over when you see those first responders. Such a great advice. Now, when you're driving, it can be kind of difficult in some of the snow, the slush, the ice, that sort of thing. Let's talk about skidding. How can you avoid that?
When you find yourself going into a skid, a lot of times people want to hit the gas pedal or the brake pedal. The first thing you want to do is lift off your gas and look and steer in the direction that you want your vehicle to go, instead of trying to hit the brake, and that will induce a skid more rapidly than if you slowly allow your vehicle to decelerate.
Yeah, it can be a scary situation as a driver if you're skidding around, so those are some really good tips. Another thing that makes people nervous when driving in winter is driving in whiteout conditions, really fast changing conditions. Talk about some tips for that.
Yes, and especially given the forecast that we're going to be coming into over the next 48, 72 hours, it's crucial that individuals allow for a lot of space between them and the vehicle in front of them. You may be a very, very confident driver in these driving conditions, but there's a lot of other motorists out there that aren't as confident. And so when you ride up closely on someone in front of you, that doesn't allow for them to, or yourself, to have any kind of evasive maneuvering if somebody else loses control of their vehicle. So you may be driving along and the road conditions seem like there's no problems at all. They may appear to be just wet. But when you get into those freezing temperatures, that's when you have those flash freeze incidents. So the roadway may look like it's just wet, and then all of a sudden it'll go to icy conditions. So as you're driving, always be aware of those changing road conditions. And when you experience those whiteout conditions, especially in the rural areas and where there's farm fields, when we're going to have 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, that creates an incredibly dangerous situation. And as you're driving and the wind is blowing that snow that we're getting, you will find yourself that all of a sudden it is completely white and you can't see. Best thing you can do is slow your speeds down, stay in that right lane. If you're seeing that other traffic is going past you, let them go past. Put on your hazards if you're going to be traveling at slow speeds. And that's probably one of the biggest things that we can recommend individuals to be driving at very slow speeds if you need to. Even though the speed limit says 70 miles per hour, that doesn't mean that that's going to be an acceptable speed to keep your vehicle under control.
Certainly don't need to go that fast when you're driving in winter weather. Talking about pileups, you know, one person gets into a crash and it just leads to a bad series of events. How do you avoid that?
Distance, time and distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. That is so important that you have that reactionary gap once again. When you're traveling down the roadway, you have that opportunity to either change lanes, or if you see that traffic is suddenly stopped because of whiteout conditions, you need to slow those speeds and have that extra distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. If somebody does change lanes and goes in front of you, allow for that reactionary gap again. That's going to be the best behavior that you can have that prevents those pileups, and being alert.
Yeah, it's so important to be alert when you are driving, especially as you mentioned, the snow, the whiteout conditions, things can happen really fast. You know, myself, I had to find and track down my ice scraper and put it back in my car for this winter, but there are other things you can do to get your vehicle ready. What are some of those things?
Well, and especially as we're going into next week, where the wind chills are going to be in the single digits, having an emergency kit in your vehicle, having an extra couple bottles of water, a blanket, ice scrapers, And this is something that we do talk about as the winter season begins. Keep those in your vehicle. Keep a sandbag or kitty litter. So if you do find yourself that you go off the roadway, you have that extra clothing or blankets to keep yourself warm. Keep a phone charger in your vehicle. And the other thing that is very, very important is know your surroundings, know where you are. If you end up sliding off the roadway and you know exactly where you're at, that allows for first responders to get to you quicker rather than you saying, I don't know where I'm at. So it's very, very important to have that emergency kit in there. And if you find yourself going off the road, make sure, if you can safely get out of your vehicle, make sure that the snow is not impacting in your exhaust system, because then that creates carbon monoxide inside of your vehicle, and we don't want that hazard as well. With these current wind conditions that we're going to be getting, you're going to see a lot of the higher profile vehicles, the commercial trucks, that are going to be moving around on the road a little more than what you're normally used to. So as you come up to those higher profile vehicles, use extra caution if you're going to go around them, or just stay behind them. And that also brings up our snow plows. Don't try to beat the snow plows. They're out there. The road crews, I have to give a special shout out to them. They've been doing an amazing job. Allow them to continue keeping our roadways safe. Give them that distance that they need to apply the applications on the roadways and to plow the snows off so that we can keep the motorists safe.
We say these things pretty much every year, but you know what? The ultimate goal is to keep everyone safe on the roads.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lieutenant Robinson. We appreciate it. And everyone, stay safe out there as you're driving.